Hello all, I'm Sai and you're watching the Book Dragon. In today's video, I'm bringing to you my book bingo for the year of 2022. I actually wanted to publish this video in the mid of January itself, but I could not publish it because I was sick and I was not even able to film the video. I'm filming this only on the end of Jan so that we can at least start doing it from the beginning of February itself. I'll tell you the reasons why I'm doing this book bingo, the extent to which you can do this, at the same time the only rule that you have to follow while participating inside this. So yeah, without any further ado, let's get into the video right away. First, I'll tell you the reason why I'm doing this book bingo. Now, book bingo itself is not a very new concept. I've actually done a few book bingos in the past while I participated in some readathons, but I have not composed a book bingo of my own and read according to it. I'm doing this in 2022 because last year in 2021, I read a lot of fantasy series. So because of that, I did not read from different genres. At the same time, I did not read many standalone books also. Because of this, my recommendations videos suffered a lot because I did not have books to recommend from other genres for people who don't read fantasy. At the same time, my reading was very low in terms of standalone books. Just in order to help myself read from different genres and many standalone books, I'm doing this book bingo. I'm sure that many people face the same problem also because we all have favorite genres and we tend to read a lot from that alone. Now there are totally 25 prompts in this book bingo, and as you finish each and every one, you can just cross them off. I also have a bingo card which I'll be displaying in the video. At the same time, I'll post it on my community tab also once this video is published so that you can screenshot it and store it for later. You need not come and watch the video each and every time. That would be just stupid, right? And at the same time, I'll post the bingo card on my Instagram also, either on my feed or on my stories, so that you can screenshot that and save it. And as you complete each and every prompt, you can just post it on your stories and mention me so that I can also have a look at it. There's no specific reason for doing this at all. I'm just doing it for the fun. You just have to follow one rule alone while you're participating in this bingo. It is that you cannot cross more than 5 prompts for a single book. So you have to read at least 5 books in order to complete all the 25 prompts. It's not a huge number, right? You can easily read 5 books in a span of 11 months. And the time to complete this book bingo is until the year end. That is 31st of December 2022. You can just read slowly and not be in a hurry at all because we have a lot of time. Now let's just get into the prompts and see all of them. So this is the bingo card that I've designed, guys. There are totally 25 prompts as I said before, and I went with green because it just felt very light and calm, and I also chose a very lighter tone of green. We'll just get into the prompts and I'll tell you each and every prompt starting from the top right corner, and we can just see all the 25 prompts together. The first prompt is a thriller. I've included this as a prompt because we Indians love thrillers, right? And I usually don't read that many thrillers at all. I've not read that many thrillers in the past, so I want to read more. Prompt number 2 is a Stephen King book. This is the only prompt that is very specific because I have not included any other author's name inside this card. Prompt number 3 is to read a book that has an adaptation. It does not matter whether it's a movie, film or a video game. It should just have an adaptation, and you have to read a book that has an adaptation. Prompt number 4 is to read a book that is published in 2022. I usually have this habit of reading only backdated books and I don't read current releases that easily. So just in order to include that also inside the card itself, I included this as a prompt. You should read at least one book that is published in 2022. Prompt number 5 is to read at least one historical fiction book. I've actually read a few historical fiction in the past, but I cannot remember reading anything in the past 1 or 2 years that intensely and loving it. I want to get into the genre again because I know there are many gems in there. There are also some authors who specifically write historical fiction alone, so I want to give them a chance and read their books. Prompt number 6 is to read a novella. A novella is generally a book which is under 200 pages in length. I'm sure that there are many books which are that short in length, and the reason why I'm including this here is because there are many prompts and it can be overwhelming at times. So in order to just find a small book and provide yourself some breathing time, I've included this prompt. Prompt number 7 is to read a book with an animal companion. There are many books which have characters that have animal companions with them. I'm not just including fantasy as a genre inside this. You can read any book in which the main character or some character has an animal with them. Even pets are considered as animal companions according to me. I have a video on my channel in which I talk about books that have dogs, so any of those books will also fulfill this prompt. Prompt number 8 is to read a book that is written in verse. I don't actually have a recommendation video for this one, but there are multiple books which are awesome that you can just read which are written in verse. I've actually read a few in the past and I've loved each and every one of them. My most favorite author when it comes to books written in verse is Elizabeth Acevedo. I've talked about her books and recommended them many times in the channel. Please do go for them if you're trying to complete this prompt and you have not read any of her books. Prompt number 9 is to read a series. This is a very easy prompt for me because I like to read series more than standalones. I'm sure that I'll be easily finishing at least one series by the end of the year. I know that many people don't read series because they are long. Just in order to provide some variety inside this card, I've included this as a prompt. Prompt number 10 is to read a book that is by an LGBTQ+ author. There are many LGBTQ+ authors and there are many awesome books that are written by them. I think it is very necessary to read those books because the voice of those authors is always very different and very much necessary. Prompt number 11 is one of my personal favorites inside this card, and it is to read a book with a dragon in it. It doesn't matter whether the book has a dragon on its cover or if it has a dragon inside the story as a character. You just have to read a book that has a dragon in it. There are multiple fantasy books, okay? I don't even have to name them. I'm sure there is at least one book that is popping up in your head that has a dragon in it. Just go for it and read it. Prompt number 12 is to read a biography, a memoir, or an autobiography. I wanted to include non-fiction also inside the prompt. There is another prompt which includes non-fiction books. You can club these two together if you are interested, but one of the prompts is to read at least one person's life story that is written either by themselves or by some other person. Prompt number 13 is the one thing which haunts me the most, but I want to do this because I have not read that many classics at all. So prompt number 13 is to read at least one classic. I'm sure there are many people who love reading classics. Personally, I'm not a person like that because I find classics hard to read and I don't enjoy them that usually. But this year I want to read at least one classic. Even if it's stuff I don't care, I have to finish this prompt. Prompt number 14 is to read a book with a mental health representation. There are multiple YA books out there which talk about mental health beautifully, and they display them also properly to us readers via the characters that they are expressing them. I think it is very necessary to read books with characters that have mental illnesses because all of us have them at least at some point in our life, and it is necessary to address them and understand them well. So I've included this prompt for that reason. Prompt number 15 is to read a book with an Indian main character. I'm including this because I'm from India and I want many more books to have Indian main characters, and that's the main reason that I've included this in here. Prompt number 16 is to read a book with an LGBTQ plus main character. I'm including this as a prompt because I know many books have LGBTQ plus characters in them, but I want people to read books that have them as the main character. It need not necessarily be a romance. You can read it in any genre. At the same time, you can notice one thing, that for any of these prompts, I have not said whether the category of the book should be young adult, middle grade or adult. You can just choose it according to your choice. Prompt number 17 is to read a book published in the last 5 years. I have included this as a prompt because many people tend to read new releases alone, but we miss the gems that are published just a few years before. So in order to recollect them and give them the place that they deserve, I included this as a prompt. Prompt number 18 is to read a book that is set in your country. This is very much necessary because all of us tend to read all different kinds of books, but we don't read that many books that are from our own country itself. I'm a person like that. I usually read books that have main characters from either the US or the UK. I want to read more books that are situated inside India itself, so I included this as a prompt. Prompt number 19 is to read a non-fiction book. I've included this as a prompt because Booktube is very much famous for its variety of fiction books, but I don't see that many people talking about non-fiction books as we talk about fiction books. I also talk mostly about fiction books and not about non-fiction books at all, though I read both of them. It need not be any specific type of non-fiction book. You can just go for anything. It can be self-help, personal development, memoirs, or any other thing. You just need to read one non-fiction book. Prompt number 15 is to read a book with a main character who's a person of color. There are many stories which have people of color as their main characters. I want people to read more of them, so I've included this as a prompt. Prompt number 21, to read a book by your favorite author or authors. My favorite author is Liba Dugo, and I have at least one book to be read by her until now. I want everyone to read at least one book by their favorite author. It can even be a reread, it doesn't matter. Prompt number 22 is to read a standalone fantasy, okay? Personally, being a fantasy reader, I know that it is not that easy to find standalones inside the fantasy genre, but there are many fantasy standalones out there which I have not at all had the time to read. I want to read at least a few standalone fantasies this year. I know that some people don't read fantasy because there are many books inside the genre and it's not that easy to find standalones in them. In order to find more standalone fantasies and to read them, I've included this prompt. Prompt number 23, this is probably the loosest of all the prompts. It is to read a book with a bookish title. Okay, I'm saying bookish title because it should have some word that is related to books in its title. It can have the word book itself, it can have the word letters, pages, anything. It's just totally dependent on your imagination and to the extent to which you can connect books with anything. You have to read a book that has a bookish title. Prompt number 24 is to read a tome, which is a book that is over 500 pages in length. I'm sure that many people find it very easy to read average sized books that are between 300 and 400 pages in length, but when it comes to that 500 plus page mark, it is always intimidating for many people. Personally, it is for me also. I want to break that barrier and read more tomes, so I've included this as a prompt. The other reason why I've included this prompt is because I have included reading a novel as a prompt, which is under 200 pages. So in order to contrast that one, I have included this also as one prompt. The last and final of all these prompts is probably the most difficult of all these to accomplish, and it is to read a short story collection. Okay, personally, I'm a person who does not read that many short story collections because I want my stories to be longer. But there are some short story collections by my favorite authors which I tend to read when they are a part of a series or even if they are totally separate on their own. I have some short story collections which I'm interested in reading, so I've included it as a prompt. Another good reason while reading short story collections is that we tend to find new favorite authors in them and we try to find their works and read their other books, so it might support the author also in some way or the other. That's also a reason why I've included that prompt. So yes guys, those are all the 25 prompts and you can just easily cancel them out in in a year's time. I know it is not difficult to complete all these 25 prompts because I've said that you can easily cancel 5 prompts for a single book, right? So you can read according to the prompts itself and you can diversify your reading. Also, the time to finish this bingo challenge is until the end of the year, so there is a lot of time. Just don't hurry and read it very slowly. If you're going to do the challenge, don't forget to mention me in your Instagram stories at Sai_Lakshmanan so that I can also look into your stories. And if you're having a Booktube channel itself, don't forget to mention me somewhere in the description so that I can find that video and watch that as well. I know 25 prompts might be a bit intimidating, but we have a lot of time to complete all those prompts and we just need 5 books, which can be very easily found also. If you want the bingo card, you can find it from the community post as well as from my stories or Instagram post where I posted. I hope this will diversify and provide you a lot more variety to read from. If you did enjoy watching today's video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also share it to your friends. If you want to get more content from me, do subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.